이제 너 조금 이상해졌어 자꾸만 시도 때도 없이 시무룩하고 고민이 생겼니
What's up, you guys? So today we are doing a comparison review of the replica medium Chanel classic flap compared to a real Chanel authentic classic flap. Now obviously there is a size difference, but I do want to go ahead and point out that this is going to be a little bit tricky just because one is caviar, one is lambskin. The sizing is a little bit off, but I just wanted to kind of show the similarities and the differences between the two so that whoever is interested in getting a replica version can also maybe, you know, double check side by side what the real one would look like. Because even though despite, yes, this is a jumbo, you can still kind of like tell the difference between, you know, the medium versus like a replica versus a jumbo size. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and dive in. So from the get-go, this is gonna be the dust bag of the two. So right off the bat, this is probably also a little bit harder because this bag is a little bit of an older model. So this dust bag, it might have faded over the years, but as you can see, this replica dust bag is not as thick because if you can tell, so on the real Chanel dust bags, they have a separate pocket to keep the chain away from the bag. And that's only because it's just another layer to protect the bag itself, whereas here is just literally a little piece of fabric. When you feel both of them, they're actually like both pretty similar in the feeling wise. They both feel very soft, like that suede type of feeling, so that's pretty spot on. And then when you open it up, you do have Coco Chanel right in the middle here. And on this one, same thing, but it's a little bit darker. I think only just because it's maybe newer. Here is the jumbo authentic lambskin Chanel bag. So here's the front. Here is the side. Here's the back. And the other side. So despite this is a larger jumbo size, I do just want to point out some of the similarities and differences like I had mentioned. So don't really worry so much about the type of fabric that this bag has. Just keep more in mind about like the stitching and, you know, just how like the mouth part looks and just kind of like how the quilting looks. Also, you can also keep in mind with how the back looks with like the bottom stitches as well. So there's like some things that we could use this bag to compare to with the replica. You put the bags side by side. You just kind of look at the way that it has been made. From the get-go, like the little flap front part right here compared to the front part here, it's very similar. Because sometimes what happens is the mouth part might be a little bit too round where it's not this kind of oval shaped right here. So that is correct. And then I also want you guys to look at like the little end parts of the end flaps. See how on the replica it's a little bit rounded, same thing on the real one, so that is also correct. One thing that I will say that I can point out as a difference from right when I look at the CCs is the shaping of the CC and also the sizing of the CCs is different. I know because it's, yes, it is a different sizing bag, but if you actually look closely, this bottom of the real authentic one, it's a lot more skinnier and almost a little bit more like chic, and like the shape of it is a little bit rounded, whereas on the replica, it's going to be like a little bit more bigger and just sharper in shape, which is not like it's a bad thing, but just when you're comparing it side by side to the real thing, it's just that the CCs over here, they're just a little bit skinnier in size compared to the replica. Here are the side by sides. So look at the stitching. Here is the back of the bags. The top. If you can hear from how the chain sounds, this one has a lot more of a heavier feel and also that metal sound where it like kind of almost clanks to each other. However, on the replica, it's a lot more of a lighter material and it sounds almost as if it's like plasticky. It's not plastic, it's just the material isn't as like, the materials just aren't as heavy as the authentic one. So as you can hear the difference, here's a clank. And then when you open up the bags, this is the replica. The inside of the jumbo is not going to be raised like how the medium size is, but I do want you guys to look at the color. As you can see, it's not spot on, but it is very similar. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but if you can see, this is more like a dark red into like a burgundy purple. This one has almost like a brown undertone, but it is burgundy. It's just a little bit harder to tell on camera because of the lighting that's in my kitchen right now. But when you compare it side by side, it's almost similar, but slightly different. Now, one thing I want to point out here, as you can see, even on this bag, even though the CCs aren't raised, you see how the spacing is the same here, here, and here. So no matter what Chanel bag you have, the CCs are always going to be similar in size. And so when you look at the replica, they did replicate that very well. And then you have this little part right here. There's a little cover on here so that it doesn't get scratched. So Chanel Paris and Chanel Paris. Of course, the replica doesn't have anything on it. As you can see on the authentic, it goes over and under. On the replica, it's still over and under, so it is correct. It's just I wanted to point out some of the details in difference. I know it's kind of hard because you have this jumbo Chanel bag versus the caviar medium, so the sizing and the look of the bags are going to be different. You keep in mind the shape and the stitching. I will say that the two bags, I will say that the replica was very well made. It's kind of hard for the camera to pick up, but there is the button that says Chanel Paris. The wording is a little bit different. On here, the words seems to be a little bit more spaced out and just kind of like pressed on, whereas this one, it's more printed and stamped on. The spacing is definitely a lot different, and the letters on the authentic one is going to be a lot smaller, whereas this one, as you can see, it's a lot bigger. I just don't know if the camera is going to be picking that up. I don't know if you guys can tell, but if you look at the CCs here, and then you look at the CCs here, the CCs on the authentic is going to be skinnier, and on here it's going to be a bit chunkier, and it's also thicker. So if you can see that. On the real Chanel Jumbo, this one was actually made in Italy, so it's gonna be different where this one, it says made in France on the inside. But I do want to point out is when you open up the bag itself, it typically should be peeking through. You see how here to here, right? And on this bag, they actually did a good job replicating that, where it does peek out. because sometimes what replicas will do is they actually end up putting the Chanel logo a little bit lower, so you can't really see it where it peeks out. Because this replica, it is a newer model, it has a microchip, whereas this one, it is an older model, so it does not have a microchip on the inside. I'm just trying to be super careful with it so I don't scratch this bag. No microchip on the inside of this bag. This bag was purchased, it was retailed around $4,000. Now this bag is anywhere between $8,000 to $9,000. If you try to buy this bag on like a reseller app or website, it's actually a lot more expensive than the full price, which like I don't really understand why a used bag would cost more than the retail price, which is very interesting. There you have it, you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, like the difference between the two. I kind of wish I had another like, you know, little medium classic flap in the same caviar print to show you guys, but this is the only thing that I have to compare it to, so I can't really say for myself like what I could possibly compare it to. But this at least passed the test for now. It did have great stitching, everything like lined up, even on the back part of everything compared to the real one. It's just, I believe it's a lot lighter and the chains are a lot lighter. But honestly, I would rather go with a lighter bag, because I feel like if I'm carrying my bag as like a daily, everyday wear, I wouldn't want my shoulder to eventually hurt, because I have heard from a lot of other YouTubers that when they wear their Chanel classic flap, it tends to like dig into their shoulders and the bag tends to get very heavy. So I kind of think this is almost like a pro for the replica, the fact that it is a lot lighter than the real one. That's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely leave them in the comment box below, and I will just try my best to get back to you guys. I will say though, if you're trying to reach out to me on Instagram, because I'm on there like all the time, like 24/7, and I reply like maybe within 24 hours, because I'm always checking my notifications, and I'm just one of those people, I'm always checking. Last thing is, I do want to say that if you've never actually seen or felt a real Chanel bag, if you do think about getting the lambskin version, just keep in mind that when you do receive the bag, it has to feel like basically like baby soft skin. Okay, it's super smooth. It almost feels like butter. Like when you just put your fingers over it, it kind of like has this like almost like a smooth but sticky, almost close to polyester feel. But sometimes a lot of the replicas will be made and they're just not soft. Like they're smooth, but they're not soft. But this one, if you can feel it, it's super just soft, smooth, almost like you're touching like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's as if you put lotion on your hands. It's like that soft. But yeah, that was it for this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.